Namaste, Saraswati, Devi, Gauravani, Prasarani, Nirvishesha, Sunyavadi, Paschatya, Deshatari, Vanchakalpatarubhyascha, Vasudhyaya Vasha, Parita, Vavaripyo, Vaishnavipyo, Namo Namaha, Jalasri Krishna Chaitanya, Prabhu Nityananda, Shri Advaita Sri Gaurabhakta Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Mukam karoti vācālam pāṇam vedhe yatvā tamam vande Shri Guru Dītatā. So Sri Rupa Goswami was given us this book, Sri Upadeshamrit, the Nectar of Instruction. Sri Rupa Goswami is known for Sri Chaitanya Mano Abhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupaha Kadamayin Kadaki Swapadantika. Prayer is saying, when will I attain, when will I be able to attain the lotus feet of Sri Rupa Goswami? When will I be able to attain the lotus feet of Sri Rupa Goswami, who has understood the mind of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu? Sri Chaitanya Mano Abhishtam. He has understood what's going on in the mind of Krishna and why does Krishna appear as Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and that he has been able to put in the form of the books that he has written. Right? So Sri Chaitanya Mano Abhishtam. So Sri Madhvacharya in the 11th canto of Bhagavatam, he says when when a devotee, when a pure devotee is experiencing love of God, that love of God gets expressed in terms of one's singing, one's chanting, one's dancing. The devotee will have the Ashta Sattvika Vikara in the body, right? The eight various kind of transformations. So he says one more way we can understand the love that somebody experiencing love for Krishna is by one's speech and one's writing. Right? So Srila Prabhupada, one time when Srila Prabhupada, was asked about his purpose, Prabhupada said, these are not just purpose, these are my devotional ecstasies. So the heart which is full of love for Krishna, the outpouring of that love is a devotee's speech and a devotee's writing. So Srila Rupa Goswami especially has written such wonderful books. So one of the books that I mentioned was The Nectar of Devotion, Bhakti Rasa Amrita Sindhu. So what is the book? Bhakti Rasa Amrita Sindhu. Sindhu means ocean. He is explaining there the ocean of rasa that a devotee experiences when one is practicing bhakti in relationship with Krishna. Bhakti Rasa Amrita Sindhu. Right? So now he wrote one book which is he's comparing it to the ocean. Now there is one Acharya in our parampara, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur. He has written a book. The book's name is Madhurya Kadambini. Kadambini means a small green thing. Madhurya Kadambini means the kadam, a cloud of nectar. Uh, Now he says Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu is an ocean. From that ocean, so much water is getting evaporated and clouds are getting formed. I have got one cloud, and from that, this one book is written. So you can imagine one book is Sindhu, and from there, Kadambini. So Rupa Goswami's Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu has such amazing novel Sanskrit verses. In that, there is one verse. From that one verse, Vishwanath Thakur could write an entire book. So these acharyas, when they are writing, this is the outpouring of their love for Krishna. Right? So the nectar of instruction, Sri Prabhupada said this book is meant for new devotees. Okay? What is to be done, what is not to be done. Safely, favorably, one wants to, finish one's journey to go back to Godhead. 11 verses, that's all. Okay? These are 11 verses What should be a devotee do? So, how many of you have heard about three levels of devotees? Kanishta Adhikari, Madhyam Adhikari, Uttam Adhikari. You've heard of this? Who is Kanishta Adhikari? Devotee. So, three levels Kanishta, Madhyama, and Uttam. What is the symptom of a Kanishta Adhikari? Everyone is looking at oh, you are Kanishta science. Excellent. Sorry. Some faith. Kanishta Adhikari has some faith. Faith in what?
Lord, God, and the scriptures.
Scriptures is not yet scriptures. See, Kanishta Adhikari is one who thinks, who is a devotee? My humble self. I am the devotee. What about others? Wow. और तुम्हारे भक्त जनों में हमसे बढ़कर कौन? Who else but me? I am the devotee. And when they come to the temple, yes, yes, Krishna is in the temple. Only in the temple, yes. Krishna is in the temple. God is in the temple. But God is everywhere. The whole creation belongs to God. And no, 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 God is in the temple. So this devotee understands and comes to the temple, whether it's the deities, worships the deities, right? But relationship with devotees, no idea. Right? Something we practiced. Who is the devotee? I am a certified devotee for Shubhi. Right? And why is this devotee Prabhupada called this devotee? Kanishta Adhikari is neophyte devotee. Why neophyte? He's new and he fights. Neophyte. New and fights. For a small population, you will, you know, okay. So Rupa Goswami says, this book I have written, what is the purpose of writing this book? He says, nobody should remain at the Kanishta level. One may begin bhakti as Kanishta Adhikari, but how do you come to the next level, Madhyama Adhikari? This is the book, he says. From Kanishta to Madhyam. Right? Who is a Madhyama? Madhyama, Rupa Goswami says, Prema Maitri Krupa Upeksha. Four things. From the 11th canto, he quotes. He says, Prema Maitri Krupa Upeksha. He knows these four things. Prema, love is for God. Love is for, no, not for the country, not for society, not for anything. Love is for God. Right? That is, I reserved my love for Krishna. Very Prema, Maitri, friendship. Friendship is to be done with devotees. That means one is careful. Who are my friends? Devotee friends. Prema, Maitri, Krupa. He shows mercy to those who are simple hearted, who are, right? Who are non envious, right? So he will show Krupa to them. Upeksha, Upeksha means he'll keep away. He or she will keep away from those who will affect, you know, their devotion. If my devotions don't get affected by association with atheists, with Mayavadis, with impersonalists, right? Then I keep distance. So Madhyavadikari per devotee clearly understands prema, maitri, krupa, upeksha. These four things have to be, how do you interact with the world? For Kanishta Adhikari, right? I am the devotee, nobody else is devotee. Right? Very good. So Rupa Goswami says, this book I have written, he says, don't remain a Kanishta. Move to the next stage, Madhya Adhikari. Hmm? Okay. Anything else to begin? Any questions you have? Then we go to the first verse. Is it displaced? Displayed? Yes. Okay. So Srila Prabhupada has written a foreword to this book, a preface to this book. This is September 20th, 1975, Vishwarup Mahotsav, Vishnu Balram Mandir, Raman Priti, Vrindavan, India. And Prabhupada, beautiful signature is there. So Prabhupada says Sri Rupa Goswami was the leader of the six Goswamis, and to guide our activities, he gave us this Sri Upadeshamrita, the nectar of instruction to follow. As Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu left behind him the 8 verses known as Shikshashtaka, Rupa Goswami gave us the Upadeshamrita so that we may become pure Vaishnavas, pure devotees. Okay. So Prabhupada says in the preface, advancement in Krishna consciousness depends on the attitude of the follower. If you have right attitude, then advancement is possible. A follower of the Krishna conscious movement should become a perfect Goswami. What does go mean?
Senses.
Go means senses, right? Swami means the master of the senses. We are supposed to become the master of the senses. Goswami. At our condition, what are we?
Godas.
We are Go Das. We are supposed to become Go Swamis. Right? So, uh, this is Maya Das, Sadam Das, Krishna Das, Bindas. So, what are we supposed to become? Krishna Das, right? And we are not supposed to remain Godas. Presently, the senses are demanding, the senses demand, and we simply agree to everything that the senses and the mind says. But we have to control the mind senses. So Rupa Goswami begins his nectar of instruction from that point. Let us recite the first verse. Vacho vegam manasah krodha vegam Chimpa vegam udanukupasta vegam Etam vegan yo vishahita Sarvamagila prithvim sashishya
Vacho vegam manasa krodha vegam. Jiva vegam udrupasta vegam. Etan vegan yo vishaheta dhira. Sarvamapi mam prithvim sashishya.
Okay. So, can you find out which word is getting repeated again and again in the verse? Vega. What does Vega mean? You heard this word, Sanskrit word Vega before. Urges. Urge. It will come here. Generally, traditionally, how is this word? Where is this word used? Vega. The speed. Right? नदी का एक वेग होता है. There's a force. Right? The force with which the river flows. So Rupa Goswami is saying there are 6 forces from within. Right? From within they begin and out they project. Right? So the Atma is supposed to go, internalize things, to go deeper within. But what happens? These Vegas, they take the life air, take the Atma and project it outside. Control that. These Vegas need to be controlled. So, any other word that you can connect to understand here in Sanskrit? Easy to pick up. Vega was one. Any other word? Sorry? Krodha. You can connect it to. So easy to connect. Oh, okay, fine. Any other word? Manasa is the mind. Very good. Jiva, the tongue. Anything else? Dhira, you heard about this word Dhira? In Bhagavad Gita, this is the words, famous verse with the word Dhiraha.
Dhirastatra.
Dhirastatra mriyati. Arjuna, the Dhira person will not lament at such things. Dhira. Prithvi.
Earth.
Prithvi is earth. Shishya. Shishya means disciples. Right? So he says, Sarvam Abhimam Prithvim Shishya. How many of you are eager to make disciples all over the world? Anybody? Don't tell me. You're not looking for followers? Your YouTube channel, Instagram. You don't want followers? Worldwide followers required. So Rupa Goswami back, hundreds of years ago, he knew there will be people who will come to Bhakti who will look for followers all around the What? So he's saying, Prithvim Sashishya, if you want to do that, before making disciples all over the world, he's saying first make your own mind and senses pure disciples. Check, have you been able to control your own mind and senses? Have you made them your disciples? Do they listen to you or they drag you? Right? So, what is the problem with mind and senses? Why should they be controlled? If this question is asked, why should we control the mind and senses? Yes, Karaj.
If we don't control the mind and senses will control us. Take wherever they go.
They can take us wherever they. Anything else? Why should we control our mind and senses?
If we don't control them, we'll become like animals.
Okay, if we don't control them, then surely they'll take us down towards the animal life. Anything else?
We'll be distracted and there'll be no proper functioning of our daily routines.
We become distracted and we cannot even follow even daily routines properly. So the doctor is saying, don't drink, don't smoke. The friends are saying, the family is saying, but the mind and senses क्या करे control ही नहीं होता. Control नहीं होता. Then uncontrolled mind and senses can drive a person crazy. Anything else? Why should we control the mind and senses?
Immediate gratification, they look for immediate pleasure.
Very good. The mind and senses are looking for immediate pleasure. They are not trying to wait for long-term benefit. The mind and senses want quick pleasure. Whatever can give quick pleasure, I literally wage everything. Whatever comes in. Right? Like anybody amongst you has been to Las Vegas? They call it Sin City. All around, as soon as you land at the airport, Sin City. They know it is Sin City, it is sin. They cannot control it. So many go there thinking, I'll become a millionaire using a slot machine. I'll use the slot, I'll play on the slot machine. And most of them, 99.9% of them come back, penniless. Without why they lose everything. But the mind and sense they're telling them, no, you can do it, you can win, you try. And everyone loses. So when we are in this world, we are Atma, and this body is given which has the five senses and the mind, the sixth one. These six have to be used for our purpose, for the soul's purpose. But what happens when they are uncontrolled? The soul simply gets dragged down into mind. So Krishna says in the Gita, Bantur Atmatmanastasya Yedat Naivatmana Jita. Anatmanastu Shantupe Varte Tatmaiva Vartmani. Krishna is saying this mind and this mind especially, Krishna is saying, is the best friend when it is controlled. But it can be worst enemy when the mind remains uncontrolled. Right? The mind can drive one crazy. Right? मैं आवारा हूँ पागल हूँ दीवाना हूँ क्यों am I why are we like this why आवाज पागल दीवाना that's what the mind does right so in Gita Krishna Arjuna is saying chanchara he manah Krishna pramati bhagavadridam tasyamam vigraham manye vayu even sudushkaram tell me to control a raging storm Arjuna is like it would this mind I cannot. Which are the four things he's comparing the mind to? The adjectives that he's giving. Chanchala. What does chanchala mean? Flickering. Chanchala he manah Krishnam. Pramati. Pramati means mad means mad. Pramati means prakrishta rupena mad. Sufficiently mad. So Pramati Balvat is strong. Dridam it is obstinate. So four things Arjuna is saying. So the Acharya has compared the mind to a monkey. जो मंकी सुनता है वो मंकी होता है so the Acharya is compared now think of your mind as a monkey so you've been to Vrindavan right and you've seen monkeys there so difficult to deal with those monkeys They cannot sit silent. They have to do something. Right? So now imagine the Acharya said the monkey, if the monkey is drunk, now what will happen? So only two things, monkey and a drunk monkey. Now a monkey who is drunk, right, is bit by a scorpion. A monkey who is drunk, bit by a scorpion, and happens to accidentally put his leg on a burning log of wood. What will that monkey do? Imagine. That is our mind. Right? So that is our mind. And that's why this mind needs to be controlled. And mind and senses. The mind acts through the senses. So the traditional example in the Upanishads, the five senses are compared, the body is compared to a chariot, the five senses are compared to the five horses, the reins are compared to the mind, the mind, right? The chariot is compared to the intelligence, and the passenger is the soul. Now these five horses are running outward. They have to be controlled. And they want to run wild. Right? They want to become wild. So they need to be controlled. Rupa Goswami is saying, your devotional service, your spiritual practice does not begin with coming to the temple, going to Krishna. Very good, you have come there. Wonderful. But spiritual practice will depend on how you are able to control your mind and senses first. He doesn't introduce Krishna. He doesn't introduce God so soon. He says it's actually cheating with oneself, right? When we are not able to control our mind and senses and thinking I am a devotee. Nectar of instructions is beginning with control your mind and senses. Now it was very specific in terms of controlling mind and senses. Vacho vegam. Vacha means the tongue. The tongue wants to talk. Like vacho vegam. And as soon as two devotees also they sit together, Shiva, Shiva, they talk. And if you want to stop them, go to sing, tell them, can you share something, some Krishna Katha? Krishna. Krishna is super specific God. That's why I don't know. Better than this. So very easy to make devotees go silent. Tell them talk about Krishna now. Right? But otherwise, Tirtha wants to talk. I remember back in 1998, 99 in India, mobile telephone services had begun. And there's one company, BPL Mobile. Right? It's no more in business now. But how did they put advertisements all around this country? They had put up billboards, and on that billboards it was written, "Why don't you just talk via mobile phone now?" But each outgoing and incoming call was 27 rupees per minute. It began like that. Then what did they do? They gave between 10 in the night to 5 in the morning free calls. And people actually would be awake in the night so that we can talk with the mobile phone with us. Right? So this tongue wants to talk. What is the problem with the tongue wanting to talk? Prabhupada gives the example like a croaking of a toad. What is it? And the toad thinks, oh, I'm singing slow. Right? The female frog is getting attracted. The she frog is getting attracted. But who gets attracted?
Snake.
Yes.
Right? So when the tongue, when you do not control the tongue, what do we call for? We simply call for right? So much useless talk going on. So much junk as newspapers, magazines, radio shows, blogs, social media. So much they are talking. But what do you achieve? Okay. So Uko was saying the first thing to be controlled is vacha amongst the senses. He's talking about the vacho vega. Control the talking. See? So silence is golden. You heard this? Right? Silence is golden. And what does it mean? Silence is golden. It was Anand Swami in one of his lectures says, actually, it is saying silence is golden. So glorify the golden avatar. Mahaprabhu, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Right? So best use of the tongue is to glorify Krishna. Otherwise, it is silent. Otherwise, the tongue, Sri Bhakti Thakur compares the tongue to the rudder of a ship. Huge ship, a small rudder behind, some mechanical thing. A little turn, it turns a little, and the entire ship turns. Small rudder. Similarly, Bhakti Thakur Prabhupada says this tongue is like the rudder. How do you utilize it? If you use it for Krishna Katha, then it will take you towards spiritual world. Anything wrong, take you to. So, Vachu Vedam. How many of you accept that there's a urge to talk? So much politicians are talking. So talk. But no substance to their talking. But when Krishna talks, Bhagavad Gita, so whoever studies Bhagavad Gita, their life gets transformed. If we have to talk about Krishna. Right? Srila Prabhupada made arrangement Bhagavatam class in the morning, Bhagavad Gita class in the evening, and all these lectures which are recorded that Prabhupada would talk. Right? And Prabhupada, wherever Prabhupada would go, one devotee would always be there with a recorder. Initial days, there was a record. Then came the video camera. So one time Srila Prabhupada was in Vrindavan, and Prabhupada decided, oh, I don't want to use the regular toilet. I want to do it in the style they do it in India. Prabhupada took a lota and went into the forest. He was going towards the woods. And American devotees, they didn't know what to do. They came with the camera and, and a recording machine. Prabhupada said, not here, not here. You did not record this part. You don't need to record this. But this is Prabhupada disciples, actually their hard work and their intelligence that whatever the pure devotee speaks, let it record. Let it get recorded. Sorry. And today we have all Srila Prabhupada's books, we have lectures, we have Prabhupada's conversations. So when a pure devotee talks, the pure devotee will talk about Krishna. So control this vacha vegam, control this urge to talk, and you just cannot make it zero. So utilize the tongue to chant Hare Krishna, speak about Krishna. Vacha vegam, manasa vegam, the mind. When it decides it wants something, it's not easy. Right? So manasa vegam, uh, the mind also has a solid vega, very strong vega. Manasa vega, and the next Rupa Goswami is saying krodha vega. Right? When anger comes in, right? What is the result of that anger? It burns all good relationships gone, all good things, anything good done, anything done good, everything wasted. Simply fire. That's what anger is. Right? Uh, Kamesha, Krodesha, Rajoguna, Samudbhava, Maha Asharana. It's like all devouring fire. Right? Once Krodha anger takes over, then a person will not see what is good or what is bad. Right? What is to be kept safe and what is important. Everything wasted. So Krodha and Yudhishthir Maharaj, you see the lamentation of Yudhishthir Maharaj in Mahabharata. What happened because of that war? Krodha. Everything finished. All that, only five Pandavas remained, and an entire kingdom of, you know, the queens and the wives of those Kshatriyas were widows. And Yudhishthira Maharaj's lamentation, if you read, he also cried tears. What he undergoes. He goes to the river, he performs tarpan for one of the relative, comes back, and he falls on the ground and he cries. What happened? We lost everyone. Again he's held. Again he's asked to return. Again, he's going to go to the river, now with Tarpad in the name of this relative. This goes on, and one time Kunti also enters the water. And Kunti says slowly, Yudhishthira, please do Tarpad for Karna. Karna and me, what's the connection? And Kunti says he was your elder. And then the lamentation of Yudhishthira is like, what has happened? And he says, Kunti, mother, why did you not tell me before? If you would have told me that he is my elder brother, I would have made him the king. He would have become the emperor. All this battle would not have happened. All this death would not have happened. At that time, Mr. Maharaj cursed. Who? No, not to Kunti. The woman in the class was cursed. Vacho Vek. Why did you control your tongue? That, you should not have controlled your tongue at that time. You should have told me. So, what was the curse, mother? You can only tell. They'll not be to hold anything. They'll, I'm telling you, don't tell. We all do that. It's not just women as a class. Everyone does it. But you have to control the maintain secrecy. Okay. So, what happens? Vacho Vegam. Okay. Vacho Vegam, Manasa Vegam, Krodha Vegam. Again, the fourth one is Jivha Vegam. Jivha is again tongue. Why is tongue coming again? Because tongue does another thing also. Tongue eats. It like tastes. For the sake of the tongue, the taste, right? For the eating. Jivha Vegam. Shishodar Parak. So, Jibba, the tongue wants to taste, and for the satisfaction of that taste, it's so much sinful activities happen. Like, once the tongue becomes habitual for eating non-veg meat, that for everywhere the taste has to be there. Otherwise, it doesn't really benefit. And the animal has to be killed. So much karma. For what? For the satisfaction of the tongue. And there's a vehicle. By Monday morning, people are discussing this weekend where are we going to go and eat? Monday, weekend is far. The plan goes the jiva. The tongue wants to taste. So jiva vegam, udara. Okay, next is udara vegam. The fifth vega is the the belly. Okay? The tongue also is tasted. But so the tongue wants quality, the belly wants quantity. Right? Some people have, six pack. Some people have family pack. Right? Just have a family pack now. Right? That stomach is like a radiant pack. Smells like. And the amazing fact about the way Krishna has done the creation is, the Atma never feels that I am overweight. Everyone else says, man, you're bulky, you're overweight, you're not able to get into a car, we'll have to buy a truck for you now. We have to invest in a truck because you get used to. No, I feel like yes, I don't feel like anything. After having eaten a good quantity of prasadam, do you ever find that you feel like, oh, my weight has increased? Something I imagine last year. What doesn't feel that I have become old. But Udara Vegam, the belly wants quantity. I, Prabhupada gives the example for Udara Vegam. Because in India, they will have hot food. Amazing. 30 items, 40 items, everything is eaten now. Alone, Prabhupada said this. Even the air could not inside. The air of the air also comes out. And then so you are getting the sign. Don't eat anymore. And while washing the hands, they'll say, चलो पान खा के आते हैं." There is no space now. But the belly demands quantity. Udara vega. So udara upasta vega. Upasta is the genetics. Then the vega of genetics. So Prabhupada said the tongue, the belly, and the genitals. They're in one line. You overeat, right? You allow the tongue to eat and taste. You allow the belly to fulfill those demands, and then the material desires will be and samsara will be start increasing and expanding the samsara from there. So, if you want to be a spiritualist, if you are an aspiring spiritualist, you have to first control it. Control these six urges. So, back in India, in Pune, where I stay, there is another organization, right? It is called, it is by the name Osho Foundation. Osho Shotha. Osho. Right? What is their philosophy? They will keep Bhagavad Gita in front, where Krishna is talking about controlling the senses, and they will say, "Oh, don't control the senses. Allow them to go wild." What is the example? After you have eaten 10 rasgullas, you would not want to eat the 11th one. See, samadhi. No samadhi. Right? Now you got frustrated. Right? But very soon, again the next day, the tongue will demand. So controlling. So some Voga says samadhi wrong. Right? By indulging, you don't reach the state of samadhi. You reach the state of samadhi by controlling the mind and senses. The Atma is supposed to control the Manaha and Shasthani Indriyani. Right? So Krishna is saying in the Gita, Manaha Shasthani Indriyani, Prakriti Sthani Harshani. Right? Am I right in the Sanskrit verse? Manaha Shasthani Indriyani, Prakriti Sthani Harshati.
Karshati.
Harshati. Thank you. Karshati, not Harshati. Right? With the mind and six senses, if we give it to them, then Karshati. So much trouble, so much frustration, and not English, not in word. But when we control, then real pleasure. So the pleasure is not outside where the mind and senses want to drag us. The pleasure is within. Right? And the Atma in relationship with the Paramatma. Srila Prabhupada gives the example. There are five senses and there are five animals who are weak with one of their senses. So the fish is weak or weak because of tongue. There is so much to eat in that lake, right? But the one of the fishes, she sees something has come from outside, and the other fishes are telling, "Mat kha." This I have got it. और ये सैफरन मछली तू मत बोल मुझे. You don't listen to me. Maybe आपको नहीं मिला इसलिए दूसरों को समझा रहे. You're trying to teach others. And the fish goes to eat, and the fisherman is very smart. It allows the fish to eat. Take the thread also. No, then out. The tongue has caused death. Give me example of an animal who is weak because of the deer. The deer. The hunter will play sweet music, and the deer will. Somebody who is weak with the nose.
A rat.
The honeybee.
Honey.
Go to the lotus. And the honeybee can pierce wood. Now the lotus is so sweet. What happens? The honeybee forgets the lotus is going to get closed by sunset. And the next morning, sunrise, the lotus opens and there's a dead body inside. Weak with nose. Any animal which is weak because of the eyes.
Fireflies.
Fireflies enters the fire. Right? Like Prabhupada in Mayapur showed devotees. No? In the night, they had to use a lantern. And by morning, Prabhupada showed them. Show insects dead there. Why? They were all now going to the fire. They're weak with eyes. Okay. Who's weak with skin?
Elephant.
An elephant is weak with skin. Right? Elephant gets hurt. That. So each of this animal is weak because of one sense. What about us? All the five senses. That's why control will be needed. We will have to control. Only in the human form there is control that is possible. Animals, there is no control. They simply, the way they are born, they live and they die like that. There's no progress in animal life. But in human form of life, progress means control the senses. Don't give in. And the civilization is telling you indulge. Right? But Upadeshamrita, Rupa Goswami is saying no, spiritual practice begins with control. So control these six urges, become a dhiraha person, become a sober person, and first make your mind and senses your disciples. Once you are done with that, then you can wish and pray that you can ever become, you can ever have disciples all over the world. Okay. Till 11:15, we were supposed to do two verses. It's 11:05, and we are simply done. Okay. Jilved Laksa iti dhai, Shishmodar Parai Krishna nahi paai. This is Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's statement to Raghunath Das Goswami. Jilved Laksa, for the satisfaction of the tongue, people run all around. Right? Jilved Laksa iti dhai. They run. And Mahaprabhu said, Shishma Udar Parayan, one who is living for the satisfaction of the belly and the genitals, Krishna Naripa. They will not attain Krishna. If we want to attain Krishna, we want to please Krishna, we want to serve Krishna. That's why Mahaprabhu said, Bhalana Khaive and Bhalana Pite. Right? Live a simple life, a life of simplicity. Right? Simple, simply living, simple living, high thinking. But what do people do? Simply living, hardly thinking. Simply living. Right? Okay. Uh, any questions, any comments on the first verse? Then we go to the second verse. Yes, ma'am. Can take the mic. Mic. Okay. She can speak as if she can start. She's at home. Right? You can think that you're at home, but then it's oh.
Much away the control, but we want to convert and bring God not to keep anything. So
All the more effort they should put.
is it like it's not possible? How should
In Kalika, everyone has the same disease. It's not woman or who. It's the same. Even men cannot keep hold things with their tongue. So most important is just you cannot stop the tongue. You have to engage the tongue in the service of Krishna. Whether it's women or men, everyone chants Hare Krishna, everyone glorifies Krishna. Otherwise, yes, efforts are needed for both. So that is the case. Uh, okay. Now, there is something called meeting Vega and there is something called purchasing Vega. You happen to meet, right, these forces, right, and then you deal with them is one thing. But purchasing Vega means today's civilization is like that, right? Who is glorified? Those who have no control over mind and senses, they are the heroes, right? Now, after reading this verse, think of a James Bond movie. Who was glorified? James Bond is glorified. And glorified for what? Because he has no control. He does anything and everything he does. So what happens? So when we go out in this world, we have to ask, am I purchasing Vega? When we are dealing with people, am I purchasing Vega? So Krishna said in the Gita, Ya Nisha Sarvabhutana Tasyam Jagrati Saniyami Yasyam Jagrati Bhutani Sa Nisha Pakshato Mune. Between a spiritualist and materialist, the difference is of that of the night and day. Right? You'll find in America, everyone is enjoying. Why are we discussing these things? night and day. The difference has to be like that because the goal is different. Our goal is not to be the enjoyers of this world. Our goal is to go back home, back to Godhead. Right? So there has to be a difference. Okay. Another thing, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, that this Acharya writes in his commentary is these verses that Rupa Goswami has given have different implications and have different level of application for a grahastha and for a brahmachari. For one in the grahastha ashram and one who is in the renounced order, the application will be different. It cannot be, applied. So only a spiritually advanced and compassionate person can ascertain, right, what is needed for whom, right? Such a person can attain, can understand, ascertain the situation of others, and accordingly standards can be prescribed. So Sri Prabhupada did not make a blanket thing, one rule for everyone. The grahasthas have different set of rules, and those in the renounced order have different set of rules. Like you know, uh, if a doctor tells a patient from tomorrow you should smoke one packet of cigarette, what does it mean? Is he a doctor? Is he or she a doctor? You're a doctor. How can a doctor suggest smoke one packet of cigarette from tomorrow? Why is the doctor saying it so? Oh, the patient is smoking more than that. So the doctor is prescribing. Okay. If the doctor tells the patient, "Kal se cigarette burn," what will the patient say? "Kal se doctor burn." So what will you expect? So the doctor understands what should be the right medicine, how should be the patient be treated, the line of treatment. So similarly, these verses will have different applications for different ways of applying it, and for grahasthas and for those in the renounced. Okay, let's go to verse number 2. अत्याहार प्रयासश्च
अत्याहार प्रयासश्च
निर्वाग्रहः
प्रजल्पो निवारः
जनसङ्गश्च लौल्यं च
जनसङ्गश्च लौल्यं च
विभक्तिर्विनश्यति.
षड्भिर्भक्तिर्विनश्यति.
As the group also begins with, now that you have controlled your senses and whatever bhakti you have, you want to destroy it, I'll tell you what to do. He talks about destruction first, not development. He talks about destruction. You do this. So first verse had 6 things, 6 vegas. The next verse has 6 ways you can destroy your bhakti. Okay? So atyahara, okay, I mean, one's devotional service is spoiled when one becomes too entangled in the following 6 activities: eating more than necessary or collecting more funds than required, over endeavoring for mundane things that are very difficult to obtain, talking unnecessarily about mundane subject matters, practicing the scriptural rules and regulations only for the sake of following them and not for the sake of spiritual advancement, or rejecting the rules and regulations of the scriptures and working independently or musically. 5. Associate with worldly minded persons who are not interested in Krishna consciousness. And 6. Be greedy for mundane achievements. Okay. So once devotional service is spoiled, right? So Rupa Goswami especially writes that, I'm giving this verse because the next 3 verses is, when a devotee, aspiring devotee, interacts with non-devotees, right? We end up engaging in these things. So now there are verses for 6 verses. This verse talks about if you want to destroy your bhakti. Next verse will be 6 things if you want to protect your bhakti, nourish your bhakti. And after that, 6 things that you should actually do with devotees. Right? So any outside interaction, these 3 verses are, so first verse was about ignorance, mind and senses. Now the next 3 verses are interaction with the world, either non-devotees or devotees. Atyahar, ati ahar. Ahar means bhojana, collection, ahar, right? So anything done in excess, especially eating more than necessary or collecting more funds than required. Right? So now we discussed eating more than atyahara can mean. It's very simple meaning is, eating more than needed. Right? But if you eat more, then you'll sleep more. And if you sleep more, you'll have less time for chanting. Very simple. Right? There are people you tell them, no, please chant 2 rounds. Time killing. You don't have time. You don't have 24 hours in your day. Yeah, you have. But where is which is the waste time? Which is time that gets wasted? That is sleep. Like Srila Prabhupada says in one lecture, even a leader has 24 hours. Everyone has 24 hours. What made this person a leader? This person understood what is the waste. Where is the time? Where am I wasting time? Sleep. Because don't say what sleep. So Krishna says, Ayurveda says in Ayurveda Prabhupada quotes in the Bhagavad Gita, Prabhupada says 6 hours is sufficient sleep for anybody. You can take a little extra if you're tired and like that. But 6 hours is sufficient. Anything more than that, generally 8 hours and more, will cause diseases, especially kapha. The kapha diseases begin, the backache. Sometimes you find when you slept more and when you get up, you feel like I was resting. Why is my back hurting now? More than sleep, more than needed. You have slept more than needed. So, atyahara means eating more than necessary, and atyahara can be done in many aspects. Right? Sometimes you find atyahara books, spiritual books. In the name of spiritual book, people collect so many books. Right? So, also Prabhupada talks about collecting more funds than required. How much do you need? Somewhere you should say, oh, this is sufficient amount. Otherwise, it never ends. The mind keeps on always giving the future tension, and there could be, oh, I will not be able to handle it. Save, save. But if you have to save more, then you have to earn more. And that earning, and that continues, and you find people giving excuses why I can't come for a program, why I can't chant Hare Krishna, right? So sleep, eating, right? And they're selling you. There's 64 GB computer, 128 GB, 5, 12 terabytes, 5 terabytes of laptop. What can you do with 5 terabytes? We buy the top, whatever the best laptop. What can you do with and then you find on the phones they have so much, and then they so many photographs and videos and what do you simply relive those experiences whenever you have time? Collecting by photos and videos, right? And going to flashback, and once again, those attachments come up. So, collecting more information, uh, collecting even scriptural knowledge, a lot of verses. I'll give you an example. Well, Gaurav Kapoor mentions this that once he was on a flight and somebody came to meet him. From this person walked to his neighbor's seat. He told his neighbor, "Can you, person sitting next to him, do you mind moving to my seat? I want to talk to this son." This person sat next to him and said, I have seen you on Atma serial. You're so famous. Your lectures are so nice and such nice lectures you give. And he said, I have memorized all the 700 verses of Bhagavad Gita. All 700 you have memorized, very nice. And then he said, I have memorized all the 700 verses ulta, opposite, right? From back to front like that. And now Gordon was so crazy. Memorize straight versus the straight line. Ulta. And then he made a comment. Even your Krishna may not know the verses. Like that. Does it take so much reading and so much memorization? What time do you achieve? You are belittling Krishna reading. I am God, you are God. Where does all this comes from? So, Sarvo Bhattacharya says, uh, Tarkik Sridhar Sange Bhyu Kare. We would keep scriptures in front. We have studied so much. And what would we do? I would sit with other logicians and simply put arguments. Hmm? So, Atyahara, right? Rupa Goswami is simply, it is a false shelter that we are cultivating. Food will save you. How many of you think food is keeping you alive? You're alive because of food that you eat. Prabhupada says they put the food in a dead body and bring it to life. If food is the reason that you're alive, Prabhupada is soul. Till the time Atma is present, the body is function. Food may be a method of gaining energy for the body to function. We are not alive because of food. But what happens? I think I am matter, that is bad. And worst is when I think my existence depends on matter. I am matter is one of bad thing, but my existence depends on matter. Spirit, soul, and Atma. Uh, Who needs who? The body needs the soul, or the soul needs the body? It's, the body needs the soul. The soul doesn't need the body.
So it's one.
The soul needs body. The body is punishment for the soul. It is nothing, graceful. It is not an award. It's actually a punishment for the soul. The soul is supposed to be liberated. The soul is supposed to be a liberated person. It's the body which makes us conditioned. Right? So thinking that the body is glorious, no, body is punishment for the soul. Right? So simply, atyahar means I'm cultivating false shelters. I'm thinking something else can satisfy me apart from Krishna. Okay, Atyahar. Next, Guru Goswami says, if you want to spoil your bhakti, Vinashati, if you want to destroy your bhakti, second thing that you can do is prajalpa. Jalpa means talk. Prajalpa means useless talk. Right? So, you've seen people spending time in solving crossword puzzles. It's prajalpa. Right? Right? Proper old people, very old. They'll die any moment, any time. Right? But they don't want to turn to God. They want to sit down and sing it out. When the Sal if only I would not have taken that job, I would have today I would have been very rich. और और मेरे को बच्चे आपके जान बच्चे मेरी मरेगी glories and they are not giving glories they are sorry क्यों किया पता नहीं देर से like so uh Mr. Prabhupada says so-called spiritualists they are talking so much there's no Krishna content that also goes in Prajapati right so sometimes you find devotees they come to the temple they're standing in front of the altar and they start talking about oh Radharani's sari is like your sari like, that color Krishna's color and that color and from Krishna and Radharani it comes down to you and me and then again even in front of Krishna everyone goes this is an offense Prajalpa in front of the deities okay? So that also an offense right? uh, cricket in India politics right? So much in the home, even at homes, this television and mobile phone, so much politics being discussed. Like I one time went to my parents' home and I saw my mother and father they were in big tension. I could make it out from their face. And I asked them what happened, and my mom said I was watching something on the TV. What? 5 minutes में 100 खबरें 5 minutes and 100 news. And so what happened? She said one of the news actors asked some house there was CCTV camera and on the camera they captured that the mother in the house she was playing with the baby in the front portion of their house and she for some urgent work she went inside but some stray dogs they came in and pulled this baby right and bit this baby so bad the baby died and my mother and asked so my mother said अच्छा नहीं हुआ ना what has happened to you some news somewhere, some CCTV cam. So many things are going on in this world. Are you supposed to be worrying about everything? At this age, think of Krishna, chant Hare Krishna. But what happens? Bhajan Bhav. So much they are talking uselessly, right? So, Bhakti Thakur says there are different kinds of bhajan. You take it down, you can note it down. He says the first kind of Prajalpa is useless talk. These newspapers and all these things. Second kind of Prajalpa is arguments. Simply offering arguments. They bring up a topic and each side has their own view and nothing comes out of it. The third is this gossiping, talking about others. That is Prajalpa. Four, he says fault finding. We love to find faults in this. And fifth, he says, especially blaspheming Krishna or pure devotee. Okay, let's take a break. Okay, let's take a break. We again meet at 11:35. Right? Hare Krishna.
Hey,
Krishna Prabhupada ki jai.